What is going on, everybody? Can't believe I'm going to say this, but welcome to my YouTube channel. The smile says it all right now. I'm so excited. This is a dream within a dream here come true. I've been wanting to do this for quite a few years, and some circumstances happen. The planets have kind of aligned themselves, and I was able to finally get some equipment put together. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been able to get that equipment in and then play around with it and shoot some video and test some things. And it has, I'm finally to the point now where I'm sitting here creating the first video. So just an inaugural video for those of you who don't know me. It's going to be an introduction to me, an introduction to what I'm envisioning the channel is going to be. And then that's pretty much it. And then we're just going to just get started with the content. So who am I? For those of you who don't know me, who am I? My name is Matt Mirowski. Um, Outside of my day job, I am a natural professional competitive bodybuilder in two different natural organizations. In 2016, I went pro in the National Gym Association, the NGA, and then just last year, I also went pro in the Professional Natural Bodybuilding Association, the PNBA. So I've been a bodybuilder now, competitive bodybuilder now, like actually competing on stage for this would have been my sixth year. I With the COVID situation, I did end up getting ready for shows this year, but it just didn't materialize, as some of you who know me know. Um, but anyway, so I've been competing since 2015. 2015 was my debut year for competing. I've done something in the realm of 12 to 14 different competitions throughout that period of time. This was the first year that I didn't compete. Before that, I was a semi-pro, and I had also gotten into the pro ranks a little bit with football. Um, Within all that, I've essentially been living this. I really started with this lifestyle that I've gotten to. It's been about 10 years. It was about 2010, so we're going on 10 years now that I've been at some level or another living uh, this lifestyle regarding diet, nutrition, training, and so on and so forth. Um, the plan initially for me back in 2010 was to really start with the bodybuilding, the competitive bodybuilding, but football came my direction, and I'd always wanted a second chance with football, and so I shelved the bodybuilding for a little bit. I took the principles that I had learned and studied over the period of time um, before I started playing football. Went on to I think I started at about 220 pounds. I played offensive line. I put on something like 130 pounds in a couple of years, and uh, I got up to 300 and 300 and I think 351 was my max. It was very unhealthy, actually, to be totally honest. I was a pretty decent offensive lineman, but I really wasn't happy with the way I looked. Eventually did what really wanted to do in football. I got to go up into the pro ranks and start playing around with that a little bit. Uh, that was kind of a dream come true for me on that end. So I don't know. I felt it was time to shelve football and to get back. I don't know what it is. It's something about the competitive bodybuilding. It's always been there since I was a kid. And so I started getting ready for that and started taking that weight off. I eventually took all that weight off that I put on. And here we are ever since then. I've just every year I've been improving, as most people who are in this sport for any length of time know. There's a saying, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It equates to working on a working on a marble block to create a statue, and every year you chip away a little bit more until, there are some guys in this industry, the natural side of the sport, who've been doing it for 20 years. And I know you're smiling right now if you're watching this, because you understand the time and the effort that it takes to put into this, and a lot of people just don't have that. So anyway, That's kind of a little bit about me and where I come from. Like I said, this is for me, this is a day in, day out lifestyle. Um, the best way it was described to me at one point is there isn't a minute for somebody who was around me quite a bit. There isn't a minute that from the moment you wake up in the morning till you go to bed that you're not in some way, shape, or form thinking about this or doing something regarding this. So, um, that's me in a nutshell. The purpose of the channel, I guess, is the only other thing I really wanted to talk about, and what my vision is for the channel. Essentially, I'm gonna walk, now that I have the equipment that I can use to shoot what I do. I'm gonna walk you through what I do on a daily basis, and I really think, after kind of sitting down and brainstorming this, and there's going to be so much content. I don't think we're ever going to run out of content. Um, if I'm going to try to keep it to three main areas, the areas that everyone's most interested in, I think, is diet and nutrition, um, uh, training, and then supplementation. But that doesn't mean we're just going to leave it at that too. I eventually, because I'm in my off season right now. The plan is to eventually show you from you know week one through peak week of a competition, uh show you what that encompasses. So I mean, there we can I on Facebook I already do Q&A sessions where people will ask me questions, and I'll shoot a quick video like this, where I'll answer your question. One, it's a hell of a lot easier to just sit and talk about it, uh rather than type it. Number two, more importantly, there's more people out there who probably have the same question. So if I could, essentially, the old saying, two birds, one stone, if I could shoot a video and not just you but four other people get something out of it that wouldn't have gotten it if I would have just exclusively answered your question alone. Why not? Going through other people's channels, that I actively follow, I've noticed that a lot of people get to the point where they're so busy with things they can't answer every single message, and they can't answer every single comment. Uh, so what they do essentially is they'll create a video for, there's a guy who calls it his mailbag video, and he'll address really important questions in a video for 10-20 minutes, that he'll get in, and then that's it. And that's how he answers his inbox questions, and addresses comments. And with the whole COVID situation too, with the national crisis we're going through right now, it's hard to believe I'm going to say this. It's almost been a year, um, that this really kind of came up. A lot of people they've had their world shook up over this. Um, I was one of them. All of a sudden the gym was shut down, and I'm in a great place because I have some outbuildings, one of which is a nice big ass machine shop, that I eventually kind of turned into this year. I spent this year and the vast majority of this year cleaning that up, and getting equipment in and turning that into my own personal gym. Unless I'm traveling, I won't ever need to lift in a public gym ever again. That's what this year was for me, was creating my own gym. And I'm there, man. It took me, I really started working on it. Um, I want to say back at the end of February, early March. Really started to clean that thing up, and ordered a whole bunch of equipment. I eventually built some of my own equipment because I got sick of waiting for it. It was a lot, as we all know, a lot of this stuff's on back order. I have a cable system I ordered back in March, and I'm still waiting on that sucker. It's still back ordered. There's still no date on when that's going to be delivered. So, um, I'm finally in a place, though, after all this time. I'm finally at a place where I just need one last thing. But other than that, like I said, with back to the original, with this COVID environment, maybe that's another thing, I could show you, is a lot of the things I've had to adjust in my own life, and how I've been able to do that with this thought process, being innovative, great ideas, positive, so on and so forth. That I was able to overcome kind of a lot of what ended up being a lot of obstacles and a lot of barriers, but it was able to either go around them, or just go through them. and finally to a place where I'm ready to rock and roll. I cannot wait until next year, because I was planning on competing this year and improving immensely. Well, I'm going to be 4 times as ready next year now, and so that's another thing that might benefit you from this channel at this point is with this COVID environment. Here's an idea. Here's something I did that worked really well for me, and I was like, for example, I hyperextensions works so well for my lower back and my glutes. And it's if I could pick any movement that I get so much stimulation from in those two areas, it's that. And when the gym shut down, I lost my hyperextension machines, and so I lost a step, and I never felt like I could get that from the same kind of work from good mornings or deadlifts, or it helped, but I could never get that same stimulation from that from hyperextensions. And so I waited for machines to open up. Nothing was opening up, so I finally just I got sick of it, and I just had some lumber sitting out there and some hardware that wasn't doing anything, and I eventually put a plan together, and I actually I can post the video right here if you think about it, but I built that machine, and it's great. It works so well. I there isn't since I built that machine a couple of months ago, and there isn't a training session that goes by where hyperextensions aren't in the on the docket, where I don't say a small thank you to some the universal elements for bringing that idea so that I could create it, because it's been great, man. I finally feel whole again with my hyperextensions. Sounds weird, but take something that you really enjoy, a movement that you really enjoy away from your arsenal, and it does. It really affects your psyche. It's crazy how that works. So anyway, there's another idea, another with the COVID environment, and the lockdowns and the whole situation, the national crisis going on right now. There's another thing that you might be able to take away from this channel. You watch this and you go, I never thought about that. There's an idea. Maybe can't do it exactly, but it's an idea now that I can maybe once again morph and transform and create into my own thing. But it never was there before, and now it's there. It's once again going back to the focus. I'm going to walk you through what I do uh, on a daily basis, and I think the goal for me is I'm going to try to upload content once a week. And one week I may do some training stuff, the other week I might do some dieting stuff. We might sit down like this and do a podcast type dealy where I'm answering questions. Who knows? We might even get into there might come a day where we get into some live stuff. I have a vision for where this is going to go, but I'm also planning that it's going to go places and that I didn't see it go, but where I wasn't planning it possibly going before. So, um, regarding that, I just want to put one kind of an asterisk on one thing, and that is the way I do things is not the only way. I guess what I want to say is, let's take my own story, for example. When I first started, I took a natural competitive bodybuilder, I believe it was Hugo Rivera, and I took a lot of he has a website, and I took a lot of his principles and his guidelines, and I just started working off of that as a template. Over the years, what ended up happening was there were some things that worked a little bit better, and there's some things that didn't work as well. And eventually, after 10 years, this is where I am. It's my own thing now. I started with Hugo, but I eventually moved it and transformed it into what works really well for me and what has, and honestly, it never ends. It may kind of taper down a little bit because you end up, like I said, after 10 years, you'll find things that, you just, work really well for you, and they don't need to change. But you still, even now, 10 years later, I'm still experimenting with things and going, wow, this worked really well this year versus in the past. So the experimenting never really ends. Regardless, the whole point of that is don't come on here thinking you're going to take every single thing that I do or every practice that I have, and you're going to be able to replicate that exactly and it's going to be 100%, it's going to work for you. Who knows? You might be the exception to this, but it's probably not going to work out that way. The whole point of this is take what I'm telling you, and I'm not telling you it's right, wrong, or in between. Take, I'm telling you this is what I do, and this has worked very well for me. Uh, take what I'm telling you, give it a try, and see how it works for you. If it works really well, great, keep doing it. If it doesn't, maybe you can take maybe you can do an adaptation of something or transform it a little bit, and like I said, experiment, do some trial and error, and try some things. If it just ends up being an idea for something that maybe turns into something different for you down the road, great. But don't take everything that I say as like as set in stone. This is the right way to do it. It's not. It's what works for me. It's what I've done over the last 10 years, uh, trial and error, experimenting, and it works really well for me. That's the only caveat I want to put on this is I'm not saying that this is the only way to do this. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is what has worked well for me, and give it a shot, see if it works for you. With that being said, one other thing, um, I'm people who know me know I'm a really positive guy. My mindset is totally positive, and I don't deal with the negative crap. I don't invest my time in that. I look at time as an investment. Where am I investing my time on a daily basis? If that's what you're about, essentially, if you're about negativity, if you're gonna, come on here and I believe me, I've heard the whole steroids thing, PEDs, anabolics. This guy's not natural. I've heard the crap over the years. It doesn't even faze me anymore. I don't pay attention to it. That's a great example. Don't pay attention to it, and that's exactly what's going to happen. If you're on here to be a negative entity, you're not going to get anything from me because I'm not going to feed that. I'm not going to give you ammunition. I realize that you can get into some topics that are going to get people pretty heated because there are a lot of people who are very polarized. And so, you start talking about things like, just as an example, I'm a vegetarian. I've been a practicing strict vegetarian now for going on 3 years. Uh, you're going to get a lot of people who consume meat products that are going to, automatically take offense to that. And you're going to get a lot of vegetarians that have, they may have ethical reasons, not just health reasons, but ethical reasons why they're a vegetarian. And before you know it, you're doing this, and once again, where are you investing your time at this point other than just arguing? That's not what this is about. And if we can avoid that, we're going to avoid that at all costs. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to bring up some controversial stuff or an issue that is highly debated. That doesn't mean that can't, that just doesn't mean I can't go down that road. What it does mean is I'm not going to get into a whole back and forth with anybody regarding anything. So anywho, I've talked enough. Really looking forward to this. And once again, the main point of this channel is to help people. I really wish I would have had something like this when I first started. When I first started, I had to do a lot of independent research to get to the level I am now. So, um, wish I would have had something like this. And that's the whole, I guess, at the end of the day, the whole focus of this channel is if I can help one person, just one person, and I can make this process uh, easier for them, or I can help them down their road to success, man, that's really all I want at the end of the day, to help as many people as I can. So once again, if I don't, if I know you, welcome aboard. We're finally there. If I don't know you, hey, nice to meet you. I hope this is something you can take something away from or get some benefit out of. So, anywho, very nice to meet you, and I look forward to this future endeavor. This is going to be great.